I really struggle with how we live in some alternate universe here in Illinois, like the universal laws of economics don't apply to us, but yet they do. We're doubling down on failed policies. We're doubling down on taxing our job creators. We're doubling down on taxing our middle-class families. We're doubling down on ignoring any attempt whatsoever to address spending, and somehow we think that we're going to have a different outcome, that we're going to be able to address our structural deficit, and we're going to be able to grow our economy and create jobs for all the people in all the schools that we talk about all the time here. But yet, none of those things will happen, because the fact of the matter is, when you increase taxes on the job creators and on the middle class, which this bill will do, they have no choice but to take their businesses and their children to a place where they can prosper, because they're not going to be able to get ahead here. I just don't understand why we think that if we keep doing the same thing over and over again, we're going to have a different outcome. The sponsor talked earlier about how our debt service, quote unquote, exploded. Like this was something like lightning that came from somewhere that had nothing to do with anything we did. Our debt service exploded because we created unsustainable pensions that cannot be sustained at any tax level, people. And so if we're not going to address one of the largest drivers of our costs here, something that's driving out our ability to support our children and our most fragile citizens, then why are we doing this? It's just a futile exercise. And we know that we'll be back in the pockets of taxpayers very quickly. We know, because I heard in Revenue less than a week ago, that members of the Democrat Party feel that these rates are not high enough. So people listening at home, I'm going to ask you, just like my colleague did, to listen to this. Because if you think that this doesn't hit you, you're wrong. None of the drivers that have created the structural deficit have been addressed in any way, shape, or form by this body. And furthermore, even the rates that are listed there are not, quote unquote, enough in the eyes of people that are sitting here today. So the rates that you may see between now and when you vote on this amendment are teaser rates. They're fake rates. They're lying rates. And the only way that we'll be able to address our structural deficit in the future is to lower the brackets and to increase the rates, because nothing has been done about our spending. In fact, we're adding new programs yet this year. So even in a year where we're talking about having to ask our taxpayers to sacrifice, we're adding more programs instead of using our deficit to pay down bills or past due commitments to our pensions. So just get ready, because we're going to continue in this horrible, horrible, heartbreaking downward spiral where we continue to tax families and business creators out of the state. Please vote no. Please think about how repeating the same foolish tax and spend policies will not change anything about our future. We need to address the underlying drivers, and we need to get our financial house in order, and this amendment does none of those things.